Welcome to the next episode of Increment with Alpha Alarm. I'm here with my colleague Luke. Luke, how are you?
Awesome, thanks Ganesh.
What are we doing today, Luke?
Well, today what we're going to jump into is something that's really interesting, and it's starting to happen a lot throughout the ecosystem, which is a lot of these, layer twos or subnets and things like this. They're launching without a token, right? They're going on mainnet without a token, and then they're airdropping tokens based on users' engagement and so on and so forth. So what we're going to dig in today is we're going to dig into Arbitrum and how their airdrop brought some traction to their DEX ecosystem. So it's really interesting to jump into some of these case studies, kind of, how they airdrop these tokens and then see what happens throughout the ecosystem.
Cool. So a little overview on Arbitrum. Arbitrum is an optimistic rollup that settles against the Ethereum blockchain. It's been alive for a couple of years now, but has never had a token. And there was a token drop about 2 months ago. And
about March 25th, 23rd.
March. Okay,
yeah.
So late March.
Yeah.
And now Arbitrum is a top 30 token, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're sitting at around like $2 billion market cap, 1.52 billion.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And they have a second chain out called the Arbitrum Nova. So they keep changing improving the technology, the underlying guts of the blockchain. And now they're going to this multi-blockchain kind of ecosystem. All of this still settling to your layer one. So a pretty exciting kind of ecosystem there. They're probably the other major optimistic roll-up besides Optimism, and we covered Optimism last week. The ARB token is the governance and staking token for the Arbitrum ecosystem. It doesn't have any connection with the gas fees or the usage on chain just yet. But we can, reasonably expect that that's going to happen in the next couple of years if they're able to resolve a lot of the legal issues around the cash flow and the token holder value accrual mechanisms. Okay, so let's jump into Increment.
So this is our tool, Increment. It has data across the 100 plus chains that we support. And what you saw last week is we jumped into the OP token with our token dog mode dashboard and looked at how the airdrop affected some of the token prices. But what we're going to do with the ARB token today is take a little bit of a different approach and look at how it affected the ecosystem and some of the engagement throughout Arbitrum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into our Swapland dashboard here. And this has a reach, retention, and revenue metrics across the 84 DEXs that we support. And these 84 DEXs are about 24 chains. So most of the major ones like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and so on and so forth. So by default here, we have Ethereum and Avalanche data. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up to these filters here. I'm going to add some mainnets such as Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism, just so I can get a comparison across some of these popular layer twos. I'm going to define a custom date range, just so we're looking at what's relevant to Optimism. Define last 3 months, and then click run. Awesome. So right out of the box here, what we see is really dominance from Arbitrum in both trades and active addresses trading. So their market share has been pretty high for a long time. So there wasn't like a huge movement during this airdrop, right? You had some spikes, but there wasn't really a big change. But as we moved down, what was really interesting was this pair created, the number of pairs getting created. Arbitrum is just dominating there with hundreds getting created every day. So this may be for a few reasons. Maybe the ARB token getting airdropped, everyone wants to pair their project with the ARB token, or it's just, the Arbitrum ecosystem is just so exciting that so many people want to launch their projects and have Arbitrum be the home of their token.
So if you expand your time range to the month of Feb, you should see a remarkable jump in the number of pairs created on Arbitrum. So can we try that?
Yeah, so what you see is just a lot of dominance. You have a bit of a growing dominance in the number of active pairs, but really the number of pairs getting created is still extremely high. So what we're going to move on to here is what is really important, and that's the revenue side. So what we saw is throughout March, we had pretty high volume, right around 31 billion in volume. And what was interesting and was a bit counterintuitive is what followed on in the month of April was actually less volume, which is interesting as the airdrop came late March. So you'd think, this would have ruffled up a lot of trading volume, but it really didn't. We actually saw
But
a
we're
pretty
still
substantial
looking at
decrease.
Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism. So it's possible that the volumes in March are from Optimism and Polygon and not from Arbitrum. So even though Arbitrum would have increased as a percentage of the whole, it's not noticeable in the month of April. So if you can we break
That's
this
a good
down?
point. Let's break this down. So what we'll scroll down to here is we'll look at some of the volume. And what you see is Arbitrum's actually dominating a lot of the volume. You have a large spike here, which came from...
Arbitrum there's more volume on Arbitrum than
Yes.
Polygon? Really? Okay.
Yeah. The SushiSwap V3 smashes on Arbitrum compared to Polygon. Yeah. Yeah, so looking at the actual protocol, what's really interesting is most of the time it's dominated by Uniswap, sorry. But on this day, you had a huge influx on SushiSwap, where you had a bunch of transactions with like thousands and thousands of trades. I don't know whether this was just someone arbing or something like this, but you saw a huge influx of volume through SushiSwap on Arbitrum. So that's really the breakdown. You can see that by chain, that monthly growth, we broke that out by chain, and it's mostly dominated by Arbitrum.
What would be cool to see here are LP fees per pool. I want to know what is maybe not the profitability, just revenue, because I think on average, people lose money in these LP positions. So it'd be cool to see how much revenue in total you make across these chains and across the dexes.
Oh, for sure. There's lots of stuff to add to this, which is just really intriguing. And as you get into some of these use cases, you find new ways to cut and slice and what you want to see. So yeah, it's really interesting. But that's sort of our breakdown of the ARB token and how that airdrop affected some of the movement on chain.
What's next for this dashboard?
Yeah, so I think we discussed a few things that's next. So emissions and I guess actual revenue, and even going on to the profitability of your LP positions, stuff like that is definitely something to add. And then what we discussed before was a bit more of a breakdown of the pairs getting created, what tokens are they getting paired with, so you can see what's actually getting the traction there.
Incredible. Now, does this only include the constant product AMM swap, like the dexes, or does it include aggregators? Does it include other kinds of AMMs?
Yeah, so it definitely includes aggregators. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, you can see a breakdown of the aggregator volume here. So you have 1-inch Paraswap OX dominating a lot of the volume there.
Very cool. And now, if I want to post this chart on Twitter, how do I do that?
Yeah, so if you want to, for example, write a thread discussing the spike or what's happening, what you can do is you can just come to this little 3 dots here. You can click screenshot, and then that just gives you a download here, PNG file that you can then add to your Twitter thread.
Can we see it?
Yeah. There you are.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
So then you just take that and you can write all the threads you want.
Incredible. Okay, thanks, Luke. So I think that's it for this week's Swapland. And who comes up with these names, by the way?
Yeah. yeah. I think next week, maybe we jump into some NFTs.
Oh yeah. Pepe.
Look at our Look at our JPEG analysis page that's yet to be shown.
Incredible. Okay, so for people who want to repeat this analysis, what are the steps?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're just going to jump onto the Covalent website. You're just going to launch our platform. If you haven't signed up for an API key, that will be the sign up page.
It's a free sign up.
Free sign up, yeah. And then once you get in, all you have to do is come to the little increment section. And then you get to start playing around with some of these dashboards. You just cut and slice the filters that you want, depending on your use case.
Very cool. All right. Thanks, Luke. Until next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.